हरे कृष्णा। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा। So welcome back to the fifth day of part 3 of this course, Rediscovering Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. For the last many days we have been discussing from this book Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu by Srila Rupa Goswami, and we are in the second wave of the eastern section, and we have been discussing the 12th topic in that, which is Angas of devotional service. And till yesterday we completed 30 Angas. Till Archanam we could complete. So today we will continue. So yesterday we saw from 21 to 30. The first one was Vaishnava Chinna Dhriti, accepting the symbols of Vaishnava like Shankha Chakra, like that, which is a very important limb. Then Namakshara Dhriti is also one of the limbs of devotional service, writing the names of the Supreme Lord, Radha or Krishna, on one's body using the Gopi Chandan or Chandan. And the third is Nirmalya Dhriti. Nirmalya Dhriti is accepting the garlands and other such offerings offered to the Lord, that is Nirmalya Dhriti. And the fourth is Agre Tandavam. Dancing in front of the Lord for the Lord's pleasure is also a very important limb of devotional service. And fifth one that we saw yesterday was Dandavat Nati. Offering obeisances to the Supreme Lord is also a very important limb. Then Abhyuttanam, when the Lord is coming to give darshan to his devotees, riding on a palanquin or on a ratha, then rising up to receive the Lord is one important limb. Then following the Lord's procession is another limb. Then walking towards either the dham or the temple of the Lord is sthane gatihi. That is also a very important limb of devotional service. Then not only that, parikrama, going around the temple, around the, doing pradakshina of the Lord or Govardhan mountain or any other such holy dham is also a very important limb of devotional service. And finally we saw Archanam, deity worship. We saw deity worship means, or Archanam means, offering the upacharas to the Supreme Lord along with the appropriate mantra after performing the Purvanga karmas of Bhuta Shuddhi, Nyasa, etc. That is called as Archanam. So this is where we ended yesterday. So today we'll start with the 31st limb and we will see how far we can get today before we end today's session. So the 31st limb is similar to the 30th limb. It is called as Paricharya. Paricharya means serving the deity like a menial servant. That is Paricharya. As in Tvad Britya Britya Paricharaka Britya Britya Brityasya Britya iti mam smara lokanatha. So we saw King Kulashekhar's prayers in Mukundamala Stotra. So he says Paricharaka, he uses the word Paricharaka. Paricharaka means a menial servant. So Paricharya means to serving the Supreme Lord like a menial servant would do. So Srila Rupa Goswami mentions, Paricharya tu seva upakaranadi parishkriya tata prakirna chhatra vaditradyair upasana. What is this Paricharya? He says, Paricharya tu, he is contrasting Paricharya and Archanam. Therefore, he is using the word tu. He says, but Paricharya seva upakaranadi parishkriya. It consists of decorating the Lord with various different items. Tatha upasana, and subsequently worshipping the Supreme Lord with prakirnaka Chhatra Vaditra Adyaihi, with chamara, peacock feather, music, umbrella, and all such things, worshipping the Lord. First decorating him and then worshipping him with chamara and other such things. So this is Paricharya. This is how Paricharya is differentiated from Archanam. Even though literally, if you see, Paricharya can also be added along with Archanam, but just to make a differentiation for clarity purposes, Paricharya is mentioned as a separate limb from Archanam. So Srila Jiva Goswami says, this can be considered part of Archana but is listed separately since the services can be performed without the Purvanga karmas. So the Purvanga karmas of Bhuta Shuddhi, Nyasa, these preliminary rituals of purification is not necessary for performing the activities which fall within the category of Paricharya. But for performing Archanam, the Archana procedures, one has to necessarily perform the Purvanga karmas of Bhuta Shuddhi, Matrika Nyasa and other such things. So, and Paricharya means serving the Lord like a king. The Lord is the king and we all are his servants. So, serving him just as a menial servant would do is called as Paricharya. So, this Paricharya has two types of activities. One is personally decorating the Lord and second is to worship him with chamara and holding an umbrella for the Lord. These are all menial services. This is called as Paricharya. So he quotes a verse from the Naradiya Puran to give a proof for the potency of this act of Paricharya towards the deities. Muhurtam va muhurtardam yas tishted harimandire sayati paramam sthanam kimu sushrushane rataha. He says, muhurtam, one muhurtam is, when literally taken, one muhurta is 48 minutes. But many times the word is not taken in a very literal sense, it just means a moment. Muhurtam va muhurta ardam, or even half a moment, yaha tishted harimandire. If one just stands in the temple of a Supreme Lord, sayati paramam sthanam, such a person can go to Vaikuntha. Kim u shushrushane rataha. If that is the potency of just standing in the temple of the Supreme Lord, what could be the potency of sushrushane rataha? What to speak of a person who is eager to serve the Supreme Lord? If just standing is so potent, how much more potent would be the having eagerness to serve the Lord in the menial way? Kim u sushrushane rataha. Like that. This is called as Kaimutya Nyaya. What then to speak of? If even standing in the temple of a Lord is so potent, like that. This is from the Naradiya Purana. Another verse he quotes from the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, it is mentioned, Yat pada seva biruchis tapasvinam ashesha janmo pachitam malam diyah sadyakshinotyam vahame dati sati yata padangushta vinisrita sarit. So, he says that Yat pada seva abhiruchis tapasvinam. He says, Yata pada angushta vinisrita sarit. Just as that water which flows from the toe of the Supreme Lord. So the Lord that is mentioned here is Trivikrama, Lord Trivikrama. So after Vamanavatar, he took the second step and pierced through the 7 layers of the universe and then created a hole through which the waters of Karanodaka ocean could come in the form of Ganga. So that Ganga is called as Yat Pada Angushta Vinisrita Sarit. That river which flows from the toenails of the Supreme Lord, the toes of the Supreme Lord, which pierce through the universal covering. Just like the water flowing from the big toe of the Lord, Yat Pada Seva Abhiruchihi. Abhiruchihi means a sincere taste for serving the lotus feet of the Lord, sadhyak shinoti, immediately destroys. Diyaha malam. Diyaha is consciousness or intelligence. Malam is all the kinds of unwanted impurities that are accumulated in our heart. Is tapasvinam, of those who are performing this tapasya of practicing devotional service. Ashesha janma upachitam. This conditioning has been accumulated over millions of lifetimes. That conditioning can be immediately destroyed by developing a sincere taste for serving the lotus feet of the Lord. And it has a potency to purify which is very similar to the purifying potency of Mother Ganga. Yata padangushta vinisrita sarit. It is the potency, the purifying potency of this desire to, the purifying potency of this desire to serve the lotus feet of the Lord, which is paricharya, is so potent, it is as potent or similarly potent of the purifying potency of Mother Ganga, like that he says. And anvaham edati sati. If one develops a habit of cultivating this desire to serve the Lord, then that desire to serve the Lord keeps on increasing automatically. So, because of the taste, just like someone may have never ever tasted, the most exquisitely made rasgulla or rasmalai, let's say. Somehow, when he looks at it, he may not feel very appealing to him. So all that you need to do is to make him eat one piece or one small piece of it. Then automatically the taste will be created and he will eat more and more. Similarly, of course, this is not a complete comparison, because eventually at some point he will feel saturated and he would no longer want to eat. But the desire to serve the Lord is not like that. If one tries to sincerely cultivate it, once he gets the taste, that taste will keep on increasing and it will never decrease. That's what he is telling. Yatpada seva biruchis tapasvinam ashesha janma upachitam malam diya. We are not getting the taste from serving the Supreme Lord because of the unlimited impurities which we have accumulated within our heart due to millions of lifetimes of living a materialistic life. But once we start serving the Supreme Lord, that taste increases so much that all the impurities automatically get destroyed, like that it is mentioned. Then Srila Rupa Goswami says, Angani vividanyeva syu puja paricharyayoho na tani likitanyatra grantha bahulya bhititaha. Rupa Goswami says that I have a fear. What is that fear? Grantha bahulya bhititaha. I have a fear of making this book very huge, because this is already Srila Sanatana Goswami has written a book, Hari Bhakti Vilas, in which these Archana Vidhis and the Paricharya Vidhis are described in great detail. The purpose of Rupa Goswami's writing this book is not to list all these limbs in great detail and explain them. The purpose of this whole book is actually Bhakti Rasa. He has to explain about Bhakti Rasa, spiritual emotions. So therefore, only briefly he touches upon these limbs and does not go into details explaining each and every limb. Therefore, he says, Angani vividani evasyuhu. There are many angas within this limb of Paricharya, Puja Paricharya Yoho, of deity worship and Paricharya. Na tani likitani atra. Atra, here, na tani likitani. I am not writing all of them here. Why? Grantha bahulya bhitita. Because I am afraid that the book will become so huge. This book is not a Encyclopedia Britannica or Vaishnava encyclopedia, where everything about every single detail about Vaishnavism is there. No, this is not that kind of a book. This book is a book of Bhakti Rasa, and just to lay the foundation for speaking about Bhakti Rasa, he is speaking about Bhakti briefly. So what we are discussing is just a summary of what Rupa Goswami has only briefly mentioned about Bhakti. So this is not all the details. So the elaborate details are mentioned about spiritual emotions, Bhakti Rasa, which is the southern, western and the northern parts of this book. Eastern part is just a brief foundation about Bhakti, that's all. But that is not the whole purpose of this book. The whole purpose of this book is Bhakti Rasa. Therefore, he does not want to add all those details here, like that. So that was the 31st limb, which is Paricharya. 32nd limb is Geetam. Geetam means to sing some songs glorifying the Supreme Lord. So he quotes a verse from the Linga Purana. He says, Brahmano Vasudevakyam Gayamano Nishamparam Harehe Salokyam Apnoti Rudra Ganadikam Bhavet. He says, Brahmanaha, even a Brahmana, actually according to the traditional vidhis, a Brahmana is not supposed to sing. Singing, there are a particular class of professional people who can sing. A Brahmana can recite mantras, but generally Brahmanas don't sing. These are traditional Vedic rules like that. Even the Brahmana, Gayamanaha Anisham, who continuously sings, Vasudevakyam Param, in front of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vasudev, Harehe Salokyam Apnoti, attains the same planet as the Supreme Lord. He attains Vaikuntha. Rudra Gana Adhikam Bhavet, and this kind of singing glorifying the Lord is considered to be more glorious than Lord Shiva singing himself, like that. So in this way, this limb of Geetam or singing is glorified here. Then the 33rd limb is called as Sankirtanam. Sankirtanam has many meanings. There are many, in many contexts it's defined in different ways. But what meaning does Srila Rupa Goswami giving here? He says, Nama Leela Leela Guna Adinam Uchchair Bhashatu Kirtanam. Nama, the holy names, Guna, qualities, Leela, the pastimes, Adinam, etc. Uchchair Bhasha, loudly chanting to Kirtanam is called as Kirtan. And Sankirtan means singing in the association of other devotees together. That is one understanding. Another understanding of Sankirtanam means Samyak Kirtanam, the complete Kirtan, meaning it is a kind of Kirtan which is completely acceptable by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What kind of Kirtan is that? Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, it means that Kirtan which is free from the 10 offenses. When a person who has perfectly given up the commission of the 10 offenses, he is qualified to do Sankirtan, Samyak Kirtan, which means his singing is so potent that the Supreme Lord is very happily willing to accept that Kirtan. So Kirtanam is defined here by Rupa Goswami. Nama Leela Guna Adinam Uchchair Bhashatu Kirtanam. Like that. Loud chanting glorifying the name, qualities and pastimes of the Supreme Lord. So he quotes a verse from the Vishnu Dharma. Krishneti Mangalam Nama Yasya Vachi Pravartate Basmi Bhavanti Rajendra Mahapataka Kotayah. So this is a verse which is glorifying the Nama Kirtanam, glorifying the holy name. Krishneti Mangalam Nama. the most auspicious name Krishna, yasya vachi pravartate. He who chants the most auspicious name of Krishna, Basmi Bhavanti Rajendra. He turns, O king, such a person turns into ashes. Mahapataka Kotayah. Millions and millions of the worst types of sins. Mahapataka means the most dangerous types of sins, like killing a cow or killing a brahmana, like that. Tens and millions of such sins can be destroyed immediately by chanting the auspicious names of Krishna. So this is Nama Kirtanam, glorification of the holy names of the Supreme Lord. Next he says Leela Kirtanam. This is a verse spoken by Prahlad Maharaj in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. This is one of the prayers. He says, Soham priyasya suhrida paradevataya Leela katastava nrasimha virincha gita Anjastitarmyanugrinan guna vipramukto Durganite padayugalaya hamsa sangha. He says, O Narasimha, te padayugalaya hamsa sangha. He says, this is Sankirtanam, chanting in the association of devotees. Te pada yuga alaya hamsa sangaha. Those swan-like taking the association, sangha, of te pada yugalaya hamsa, of those swan-like devotees who have taken shelter of your 2 lotus feet, taking their association, Leela Katha Anugrinan. In their association, what I will do? I will hear your Leela Katha, your pastimes. What is the benefit of hearing the pastimes of the Supreme Lord in the association of devotees? He says, and who are these? Who are these devotees? Priyasya Suhrida Paradevataya. The devotees are in various rasa. Priyasya indicates Dasyaras. Suhrida indicates Sakyaras. Paradevataya indicates Madhuryaras. So in this way he is indicating, you know what, my dear Lord Narasimha, I will come in the association of your dear devotees who have taken shelter of your lotus feet, and they are like swans. And in their association, hearing your Leela Katha, Virincha Gita, and your Leela Katha is not ordinary thing. You are glorified by even Virinchi, the Supreme Personality, even Brahmaji. Shiva Virinchi Nutam. He is glorified even by Brahma. So that Leela Katha is no ordinary thing. Even Brahmaji sings those Leela Katha. But what is the benefit of singing that Leela Katha? He says, Guna Vipramukta. I will become completely free of the 3 modes of material attachment. Aham Anjahat Titarmi Durgani. And I will easily overcome the separation that I am feeling from you. So, here Prahlad Maharaj is glorifying this Leela Katha. What is the potency of singing the glorious pastimes of the Supreme Lord? By singing, when devotees who have great affection for the Supreme Lord and are feeling separation from the Supreme Lord, by singing about the Leelas of the Supreme Lord, they can overcome that separation. The gopis, when after Krishna would go to the forest to graze the cows or the calves, the gopis, both the elderly gopis and the younger gopis who had Vatsalya and Madhurya Ras respectively with Krishna, they used to sing about the various pastimes of Krishna. And in this way they would experience Krishna's presence. So therefore singing the glories of Krishna's pastimes helps a devotee overcome the feelings of separation that he may be feeling towards Krishna. Even in the case of Arjuna, it is mentioned that after Krishna leaves the planet, he feels extreme remorse and dejection and depression. And at that time, he remembers the teachings of Bhagavad Gita as spoken by Krishna. So therefore, by remembering those teachings, Arjuna feels the presence of Krishna and he is able to overcome his pangs of separation. So therefore, to have, because abhinnatvad namanamino, the Supreme Lord is absolute. So the Supreme Lord's name is absolute, his Leela is absolute, his form is absolute. So when one sings about the pastimes of the Lord, it is as good as having the association of the Supreme Lord. What we lack is faith, that's all. So if we have that kind of faith, then by singing the glories of the Supreme Lord, we can actually experience the presence of the Supreme Lord. As Prabhupada used to say, one of Srila Prabhupada's disciples asked Prabhupada, Prabhupada, you must be feeling lot of separation from your spiritual master. Srila Prabhupada immediately said, I am never separated from my spiritual master. Why? Because he would say, because I am engaged in executing his order. Because I am engaged in executing the order of my spiritual master, I never feel separation from him. So therefore, it is only in the material realm that physical separation leads to extreme distress. But in the spiritual realm, even that distress is pleasurable. Remembering the beloved with a feeling of separation is actually, even though only externally looks like lamentation and suffering, but internally it is the highest form of bliss. The Vipralamba Bhav. It is described in detail in the Rasa Shastras, like that. So this is Prahlad Maharaj explaining that in the association of devotees, when I sing your Leela Katha, I experience your presence. In this way, I can easily overcome separation from you, the feelings of separation, like that he says. Then the third is Guna Kirtanam, glorifying the qualities of the Supreme Lord. He quotes a verse from the teachings of Narada Muni to Vyasadeva from the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Idam hi pumsas tapasas shrutasya va svishtasya suktasya cha buddhi dattayoho avichyutortap kavibir nirupito yaduttama shloka gunanu varnanam. So he says, avichyuto artha, the unfailing cause or the complete cause. Pumsahas tapasas shrutasya, the ultimate cause of achieving success of a person's austerity or study of the Vedas, tapasas shrutasya, svishtasya suktasya chas buddhi dattayoho, or the cause of actually attaining success of performing sacrifices, chanting of the mantras, practicing jnana, giving charity. So one may do all these activities, but those activities will never be successful if uttama shloka gunanu varnanam, if there is no glorification of the qualities of the Supreme Lord. So any Vedic ritual which is performed ultimately has an element of glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and when that glorification is missed, actually the person cannot achieve the success of performing that particular activity of, it may be a charity or a sacrifice or chanting a mantra. But if that one limb is missed, he will not get any result. Therefore he says, avichyutortat kavibir nirupito, and this is the conclusion of the most intelligent people who understand the essence of the Shastras. Avichyuto artha, the unfailing cause. Yad uttama shloka gunanu varnanam. Just like you have washing powders. In washing powders, sometimes they say, I don't know, I am not an expert, but what they claim, the experts claim, is that in washing powders like Surf Excel and such things, there are some colored components, blue, red, green, like that, and some white base powder is there. The most powerful cleansing action is actually done by those small colored balls in that washing powder, and that base does a very basic work. So which means the active ingredient, even if you take a tablet like paracetamol, if you take a tablet of paracetamol, the tablet weighs about say 2 grams, 3 grams, like that, but of that, paracetamol active is the active ingredient, it is only few milligrams only. The rest is all 99% is actually the base. So if that active ingredient, a few milligrams of paracetamol is not there, then the tablet has no effect, it will not cure the fever. So similarly, even though in ordinary Vedic rituals, bona fide Vedic rituals, even though chanting of the holy name or glorification of the qualities of the Supreme Lord may be a very small portion, 1% only we may do that, but that 1% is the actual active ingredient. When that 1% is not there, then the rest of the ritual is as good as not performing. It will not give any result. Like that. That's why he is telling Avichyutortha kavibir nirupito yaduttama shloka gunanu varnanam. Like that. So this is a glorification of the guna kirtanam, glorification of the qualities of the Supreme Lord. So in this way, nama kirtanam, lila kirtanam, guna kirtanam we have seen. So in this way, the 33rd limb is sankirtanam. Guna, Rupa, Leela, Adinam, Uchchair Bhasha to Kirtanam. Loud chanting of these Guna, Rupa, Leela, etc. is called as Kirtanam. 34th limb is called as Japa. So Japa is one of the first things any person who is becoming little serious in Krishna consciousness, first thing he hears is how many rounds you are chanting. So Japa. So what is this Japa? Srila Rupa Goswami says, Mantrasya sulagu uchcharo Japa iti abhidiyate. What is Japa? Japa is defined as a very soft chanting of a mantra. Sometimes we chant Japa like Kirtan. Nothing wrong with it. Actually, loud chanting is recommended also. So in that case, it becomes like Kirtan. Even though, because Uchchair Bhasha to Kirtanam, Sulagu Uchcharo to Japaha. So the mantra may be the same, but if it is Uchchair Bhasha, it is Kirtanam. Sulagu Uchcharo, Japa. So in this way they are defined. So ultimately, whether we chant Japa as Japa or in the form of Kirtan may be little loud. Like for example, I chant loud because if I chant too softly, I tend to feel sleepy. So I tend to chant little loud. So whether in the strictest sense of the definition of terms, whether it would fall under Kirtana or Japa is a debatable thing, but doesn't matter. So Padma Puran, he quotes a verse from the Padma Purana to establish the glory of chanting Japa. He says, Krishnaya nama ityesha mantra sarvartha sadakah bhaktanam japatam bhupa swarga moksha phalapradaha. He says, Japatam esha mantra, one who softly chants this mantra, Krishnaya nama iti, Krishnaya namaha, one who chants this mantra very softly, sarvartha sadaka, he produces all the benefits. All the benefits means like what? He says, Bhaktanam Swarga Moksha Phalaprada. It bestows Swarga and liberation. But of course, we saw this about this yesterday also, that even though these Shastras may indicate goals which we may not necessarily be aspiring for, which is we neither aspire for Swarga nor for Moksha. We are aspiring for pleasure of Krishna and direct relationship with Krishna. So when devotees chant japa, they will not get Swarga or Moksha, but they will actually get only love of God, nothing less than that. So one should understand that. But such verses are given just to give us confidence in that particular limb of bhakti. So the focus is japa is potent limb. That is the focus. The focus is not you will get only Swarga and Mukti. That is not the focus. So we should try to understand where the acharyas are trying to draw our focus towards. So we should focus there only. Then it is appropriate. So for example, we saw one example earlier. Earlier means, of course, it was in the other course, that in Chaitanya Charitamrita, the episode of Nityananda Prabhu showing mercy to Jagai and Madai comes. So the episode is such that in brief, Jagai and Madai try to harm Nityananda Prabhu by hitting him with a liquor pot and he starts bleeding. And in response, Nityananda Prabhu pleads to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to award Jagai and Madai Krishna Prem, and they get Krishna Prem. So in essence, this is the story. So where the acharyas are trying to draw our attention to, they are trying to draw our attention to the unfathomable mercy of Nityananda Prabhu. But if we don't try to focus where our acharyas are trying to draw our attention to, then we will come to our own conclusions. What could be other non-bona fide conclusions? Oh, the greater is the Vaishnava whom you offend, the quicker is the opportunity for you to get Krishna Prem. This is the conclusion we may arrive. Because literally, if you look at the episode, they literally tried to kill Nityananda Prabhu, and Nityananda Prabhu is the greatest devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And what was the result? Instantaneous Krishna Prem was the result. So one should not come to the conclusion that, oh, if I will find out the greatest of Vaishnavas and I will offend them, and that will give me instantaneous Krishna Prem. One should not think like that. So basically the point is, we should try to focus where the acharyas are shining that light. We cannot take our own focused light and focus wherever we want in that particular verse. So in this particular verse, Rupa Goswami is trying to shine the light on the word mantraha sarvartha sadhaka. The mantra is sarva artha sadhaka. It can give any benefit for the living entity. But because this verse is probably spoken to an audience who may be attached to Swarga and liberation, therefore he says, including Swarga and liberation, which means that is what they value. So when you have to draw the attention of people, then you have to give examples of something which is valuable to them. Like for example, once Prabhupada was addressing a group of people who were working in a coal mine, and he was trying to explain to them how would the description of hellish planets. So he was trying to explain, and literally to work in a coal mine is as good as any hellish planet actually. Because every breath you take, you are literally inhaling coal particles, which are, with every breath our lung is getting affected. and it leads to severe health issues. So Prabhupada thought, and he told, you know what hell is like? In hell, you don't have access to any newspaper, he said. Because these miners, once they get into the mine, sometimes for days and weeks together, they would be inside the mine only doing their mining operations. And their only touch with the outside world was through the newspapers. So daily newspapers would come. So they would so eagerly read every syllable of that particular newspaper so that they can stay in touch with what's happening in the outside world. So therefore, their most prized possession was that particular day's newspaper. So Prabhupada wanted to explain to them what is hell like. He said hell is like to be inside a mine with no newspaper for days together. And they immediately understood the gravity of the subject matter. Yes, oh, we don't want to go to such a hell like that. But literally, but hell is not like that. Hell is much more worse than that. So here probably the section is meant for people who are attracted to Swarga and Moksha. Therefore, the results of Swarga and Moksha are indicated. But devotees should understand that the devotees will get only Krishna Prem by chanting Japa. They will not get Swarga or Moksha. This should be clarified. So this is the 34th limb, which is Japa. The 35th limb is called as Vigyapti. Vigyapti means entreaty. Entreaty means trying to please others with some sweet words. Trying to please another person with sweet words. Of course, the another person is the Supreme Lord here. So he quotes a verse from the Skanda Purana. Harim uddishya yatkinchit kritam vigyapanam gira mokshadvarar mokshas teneva vihitastava. So Skanda Puran says, Harim uddishya, with a desire to please Lord Hari, yat kinchit kritam, even little bit of vigyapanam gira, words of entreaty to please the Supreme Lord, even little bit. Mokshadvara argalan. Mokshadvara is the doors of liberation. Argalan is the bolt. Moksha, the words, the sweet words trying to please the Supreme Lord, Vigyapti, has the potency of releasing the bolt of Vaikunta. So if we offer prayers to the Supreme Lord, then it can immediately release the bolts of Vaikunta for the devotee. Like that Skanda Puran says. Mokshadvara argalan moksha. Teneva vihitastava. Like that. So Rupa Goswami says, Samprartanatmika Dainya Bodhika Lalasamayi Ityadir Vivida Dhiraihi Krishne Vigyaptiririta. Intelligent people have concluded, Dhiraihi Irita Krishne Vivida Vigyaptihi. There are many kinds of entreaties towards Krishna, many kinds of ways of pleasing Krishna through one's prayers. So Samprartanatmika. Samprartanatmika is prayers, and Dainya Bodhika is admission of one's own fallen state, incompetence, and Lalasamayi. Lalasamayi refers to expressing one's deep longing. So one may say, what is the difference between this Samprartanatmika and Lalasamayi? So when prayers are offered expressing one's longing by a sadhaka, that is called as Samprartanatmika. Whereas a perfected devotee, when he expresses the longings of his heart, that is called as Lalsamayi. So externally both kinds of prayers may seem very similar, but actually if you see, some are samprarthanatmika when offered by sadhakas, and some are lalasamayi when it is offered by perfected devotees. So we will see some examples, then it will become little more clearer. So Srila Jiva Goswami says, samprarthanatmika are statements coming from persons who have not attained the stage of bhava or prema, whereas lalsamayi prayers come from persons who have attained bhava or prema. This is the difference. So let's see one example of samprarthanatmika prayer. This is a verse from Padma Puran, and it is also quoted by Srila Rupa Goswami in his compilation, Padyavali, a compilation of prayers, a compendium of prayers. So he says, Yuvatinam yata yoni yunam cha yuvatau yata manobhiramate tadvan manobhiramatam tvayi. A very beautiful verse. Yuvatinam yata yoni. When a person reaches the teenage, that is the time when the hormones become very aggressive, and there is a natural attraction for the opposite sex. And that attraction keeps the mind completely occupied. So when one falls in love, especially if it is the first love, then it is very difficult to stop thinking of that object of love. So he says, Yuvatinam yata yoni. Just as the minds of young women are attracted to young men, yunam cha yuvatau yata, and the minds of the young men are attracted to young women. Manobhiramate, yata yuvatinam manaha yuni abhiramate. Just as the minds of a young woman is completely attracted to a young man, and similarly the mind of the young man is similarly attracted to a young woman, tadvad, in the same way, manaha, let my mind, abhiramatam tvayi, may it constantly, helplessly think about you. So even if that man who is completely smitten with love for that particular woman, even if he wants, he cannot forget that woman, even for a moment. Stavara jangama deki na deki taramurti sarvatra hai nija ishtadeva spurti. He will start seeing that form of woman, or the woman will start seeing that form of man in whatever object he or she sees. And that is exactly the vision of an Uttama Bhagavata also. Stavara jangama deki na deki taramurti sarvatra hai nija ishtadeva spurti. He will see Krishna everywhere. So, but the intensity of that absorption, even though it is a material emotion, it's a very strong attraction. So therefore, Srila Rupa Goswami is giving this example, or he is quoting this verse from Padma Purana, where the person is telling, Krishna, give me that kind of absorption that a young woman has for a man, or a young man has for a woman. You know, that complete absorption where they cannot take the thought of the other person away from their mind. Like that. So this is called as samprarthanatmika prayer. A prayer offered by a sadhaka. So a sadhaka is sincerely trying to think of Krishna, but often failing. So he is praying, Krishna, please, one day, can you please give me that kind of an attraction that I have for these material things, material people. Please give me that kind of attraction. So same thing, Srila. In fact, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami takes this one step further. He says, Gurau goshte goshtalayishu sujane bhusuragane swamantre shri namni vrajanavayuvad dvandva sharane sadadambam hitva kuru ratim apurvam atitaram Aye Swantar Bratas Chatubirabhiyache Dhritapada. He says, for these 8 things, Gurau, Goshte, Goshtalishu, all these things connected to Krishna, he says, Kuru Ratim Apurvam Atitaram. You develop an attraction, a kind of attraction which you have never had for anything of this material world. Unprecedented attraction. So he says, even though he is asking for give me that kind of attraction, actually Raghunath Das Goswami says, your attraction for these 8 things should be more than that. Apurvam, it should be an unprecedented attraction. You must not have had that kind of attraction towards anyone. Like that he says. This is Vigyapti, where a sadhaka is genuinely pleading, Krishna, please give me that kind of attraction. Like that. Then there is Dainya Bodhika prayer. So Dainya Bodhika prayer is, he again quotes a verse from the Padma Purana. He says, Mattulyo nasti papatma naparadi cha kaschana parihare pilajjame kimbruve purushottama. So he says, the person who is offering the prayer, he is telling, Mattulyo na asti papatma. My dear Lord, there is no one who is as sinful as me, as myself. Na aparadi cha kaschana. And there is no greater offender than myself. Parihare api lajjame. In fact, I am feeling very ashamed of even requesting you to remove my sins. If it was just a few sins here and there, then I can ask you, or few offenses here and there, then I can ask you to remove them. Maaf kar do. Just please don't punish me for that. But there is no end to the amount of offenses that I have committed and the amount of sins that I have committed, that I am feeling ashamed to even ask you to remove those sins. Kim bruve, what can I say? I am feeling so ashamed. Like that he is indicating to the Supreme Lord. So this is Dainya Bodhika prayers. And our Acharyas also have written many Dainya Bodhika prayers. Like Emona Durmati Samsara Bitore Podiya Achinu Ami, or Gopinath Mama Nivedana Shuno, Vishay Durjana Sada Pape Rata, like that he says. So like that many verses where our Acharyas have expressed their fallen state. Of course, they are not fallen, but they are writing those Samprarthanatmika prayers so that sadhakas like us can offer those prayers and Dainya Bodhika prayers. We can offer those Dainya Bodhika prayers so that we can overcome that situation. So here he says, Mattulyo nasti papatma naparadi cha kaschana parihare api lajjame kim bruve purushottama. Like that. So this is Dainya Bodhika, expressing one's fallen state. And then the third kind of prayers are Lalasamayi. Lalasamayi are the prayers offered by exalted devotees. Their deep longing within their heart they express. So he quotes a verse from the Narada Pancharatra. Kada gambiraya vacha shriya yukto jagatpate chamara vyagrahastam mam evam kurviti vakshyasi. He says, O Jagatpate, O Lord of the universe, Kada, when will that day be mine? Shriya yukto, along with Mother Lakshmi. Mam vakshyasi gambiraya vacha. When will that day be mine? When yourself, along with Mother Lakshmi, will instruct me in a grave voice. Chamara Vyagrahastam, while I am eagerly waiting with a chamara in my hand, just waiting for your order. When will that day be mine when you will open your mouth and with a grave voice will say, come here and fan me. Evam kuru iti. Like that. So, we also have many Lalsa Mai prayers like Narottam Das Thakur prays, Shyama Gori Ange Dibo Chandane Raganda Chamara Dulavo Kabe Heri Mukha Chandra Radha Krishna Pranamora Yugala Kishore. So he says, Shyama Gori Ange Dibo Chandanera Ganda Chamara Dulabo Kabe Heri Mukha Chandra. He says, my dear Lord, when will that day be mine when I will take a cup of sandalwood paste and with great love offer it to the black and golden complexions of Krishna and Radharani and take a chamara and fan you like that. So this is a Lalasamai prayer, expressing the deep longing to serve the Lord in a way that is very dear to their heart. But of course, such desires manifest, such specific desires manifest only at a very exalted stage of one's devotional development. Or even every day we chant, even during the Tulasi Arti, Morayei Abhilash Vilas Kunje Diyo Vas. Like that. My desire is that you will give me an opportunity to stay in the various kunjas where Krishna and Radharani perform their various pastimes. At our stage of devotional development, we cannot offer such prayers. But still, we are offering someone else's prayer so that one day, knowingly or unknowingly, when our heart becomes pure, then we will feelingly offer those prayers. So now, at this stage of our devotional development, when we offer those prayers, those words are, more or less empty words. We can't really offer those words from our heart. But when we progress further, then those very words would have a very deep meaning for us. So till then, we can sing the Lalsamai prayers as being the glorious desires of our great acharyas. And when we keep glorifying our acharyas by singing these Lalsamai prayers, one day we will develop such lalasa. We will develop such sincere desire to, and Krishna may offer us that opportunity also when we become qualified for that. Like that. So in this way, Vigyapti or entreaties are of three types: Samprarthanatmika, Dainya Bodhika, and Lalasamayi. So these three types of prayers we have seen. So this is the 35th limb of, and another verse he is quoting, Kadaham Yamunatire Namani Tava Kirtayan Udbhashpa Pundarikaksha Rachayeshyami Tandavam. So he says, Kadaham Yamunatire Namani Tava Kirtayan. Oh, when will that day be mine, my dear Lord, when on the banks of Yamuna I will chant your holy name. Udbhashpaha. Udbhashpaha means with tears in my eyes. Rachayishyami Tandavam. I will chant your name and dance on the banks of Yamuna with tears flowing from my eyes. When will that day be mine? This is again a Lalasamayi prayer. So the source is not mentioned, but it's a prayer that has been mentioned by Srila Rupa Goswami as a proof for Lalasamayi prayer, like that. So Srila Jiva Goswami writes, Superficially, this appears to be a samprarthanatmika prayer, because which means he's telling, oh, when will that day be mine? When I am chanting, tears will flow from my eyes and my hairs will stand on end. Which means right now, when he is chanting or dancing, tears are not flowing. One will use one's logical intellect and come to such a conclusion. But Jiva Goswami says, only superficially it looks like that, but actually it is a Lalasamayi prayer. Samprarthana belongs to someone without the appearance of bhava, whereas Lalasa or prayers with intense longing belong to person who has manifested that bhava. However, when a prayer is filled with a similar longing, it is also called as Lalasa. Sometimes a sadhaka, even though he may not have reached that higher stage, but might express a very deep longing. So such prayers are also called as Lalasa, like that he is mentioning. Thus, this example is classed as Lalasamayi because there is a deep desire that is expressed in this verse. Prayers and longing, matlab Samprarthanatmika and Lalsamayi, such as these are given here to illustrate the topic, but actually they should be understood to be examples of Raganuga Bhakti. We cannot offer such prayers at the level of Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, like that. Okay, so we have exhausted our time. So we have completed 35 of the 64 limbs. So we will further continue this discussion tomorrow. Thank you very much for your patient listening. It was a great pleasure having your association. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Rupa Goswami Pad ki jai. Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu ki jai. Hare Krishna.